This is the story of Central Maryland, its port, its industry, its energy, and particularly its people. People who search for tomorrow. Here in the heartland of the Free State is a primary source of the commerce, the industry, the far-sighted thinking that helped forge from an undeveloped frontier a new nation. The early settlers of Baltimore town, starting a new life, made their beautiful harbor the focal point of a great city, center of a vast industrial and commercial area, one of the four principal centers for science and research in the nation. How did this come about? What were the reasons for this fantastic growth? And what does the future promise for Central Maryland? From the beginning, the sheltered harbors of the Chesapeake Bay made it only natural that the early settlers would be interested in shipbuilding. And the Baltimore clipper ships became famed on the seas of the world. They carried more cargo and faster than any other ships. The craftsmanship of Maryland shipbuilders is evident in this: the oldest warship still afloat, the United States frigate Constellation. Launched in 1794, she saw actual service through World War II as the flagship of the Atlantic Fleet, and today is open to the public, a proud reminder of more than 100 years in history. The skill the men of Maryland exhibited in shipbuilding was matched by their spirit and love of freedom. This indomitable spirit was never more evident than during the War of 1812. The defeat of the British at North Point and at Fort McHenry is commemorated in what is now a national shrine. The Star-Spangled Banner that waved so proudly over Fort McHenry inspired Francis Scott Key to write the words for an immortal anthem. Today, Fort McHenry plays host to a constant stream of visitors paying homage to that great moment in history, where Mary Pickersgill created the great battle flag, and a statue honoring Francis Scott Key, the Marylander who gave us the words of our national anthem. The spirit of the people of Central Maryland was constant as they helped build the canals and wagon roads necessary to conquer the frontier as the nation expanded to the west. Marylanders, from their most western of all Atlantic seaboard ports, built America's first railroad, the Baltimore and Ohio. Initially, it was only 13 miles of double-track line from Baltimore to Ellicott's Mills. Soon, Peter Cooper's Tom Thumb appeared on the scene. Then, larger, faster locomotives. The ribbons of steel pushed across the face of the land. So began the American saga of rail transportation. Today, the Montclair Railroad Station, the first passenger and freight station in America, marks the location of the B&O Museum, housing many of the old locomotives. Here, too, is a replica of another Maryland first. Using equipment like this, Samuel F.B. Morse transmitted the first telegraph message from Washington to Montclair, and a new form of communication added to the strength of America. Open to the public, the museum provides a visual story of the history of the network of steel that linked the rest of the nation to its ports, that opened up the West and fused the states into a strong, growing nation. The American spirit of free enterprise was from the very start fundamental to the way of life and to the future growth of the enterprising people of Central Maryland. Among the spirited people of the 1800s, a few merchants and financiers were to be forever honored for their foresight and philanthropy. Johns Hopkins gave America two great institutions, the first true university and the first center of medical research and treatment. George Peabody shared his good fortune by giving the people of Maryland a superb library for scholars. He also bequeathed the Peabody Conservatory, a world-famous music center. Enoch Pratt set up the first free circulating library. His generous bequest specified that it was to be accessible to the people, rich and poor, without distinction of race and color. So through the years it has served all the people. William T. Walters left to the grateful people of Maryland the legacy of one of the finest art collections in the world. Here are displayed many of the masterpieces of the great artists of Europe. These men, and countless others like them, made the 1800s rich years. In 1816, Rembrandt Peale gave Maryland another of its significant firsts. Using manufactured gas in his museum, Peale demonstrated a new method of illumination that excited the imagination of the public. His famous ring, beset with gems of light, soon resulted in Baltimore becoming the first city in this hemisphere to light its streets with gas. Today, the Baltimore Gas and Electric Company, a descendant in direct line of the founding company of 150 years ago, has proven that the commonplace blue flame is anything but common, as it serves homes with gas for heating, cooking, air conditioning, and serves industry in the manufacturing and processing of innumerable products that we use from day to day. The manufactured gas of Rembrandt Peale's day has been supplanted by natural gas. Today, from distant wells in southwestern United States, nature's oldest fuel travels through a vast network of underground pipes to reach Baltimore Gas and Electric's gate stations. From here, the natural gas enters the mains and then into service pipes to homes, stores, and industry. Manufactured gas still plays a role, supplementing the natural gas during peak days of use. And the Spring Gardens plant is the largest such plant of its kind in the United States. Propane gas is also stored as a supplement to natural gas at peak periods and to keep costs down. Far underground, here at Notch Cliff, is a man-made cavern blasted from solid granite and holding 6 million gallons of liquid propane. A major milestone in Central Maryland's march to the future came in 1881, when Baltimore was among the first American cities to have an electric light company. In 1906, the two vital streams of energy, gas and electricity, were merged into one great stream, providing for light, heat, power for communication and transportation. Soon, railroads, such as the Pennsylvania, began to use this new source of power for many of their trains. The invisible force of electricity began to turn the wheels of industry. Today it supplies the power for the Chevrolet division of General Motors as it assembles 1,000 cars a day in its Baltimore plant. Here, too, electricity supplies the power for Western Electric to manufacture a variety of products, including thousands of varicolored telephones, dairies, power for Black & Decker's Hampstead plant, the largest power tool. Power for food processing. Power for Bethlehem Steel, the world's largest steel mill. Much as America's superhighways have woven a network of roads for travel anywhere in the nation, the tying together of investor-owned electric power companies is fast creating a network of high-voltage transmission lines to form a mighty electrical highway, which, when completed, will extend from the Atlantic Ocean to the West Coast and from Hudson's Bay to the Gulf of Mexico. Companies serving the Mideastern states, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, and the District of Columbia, form the largest fully integrated power pool in the United States. And the Baltimore Gas and Electric Company's generating plants are a part of a system that must anticipate a doubling of power needs every 10 years. To supply the needs of tomorrow requires imagination, foresight, and planning. Already under construction to add to tomorrow's power supply is one of the largest projects ever undertaken by the electric utility industry. The Keystone Generating Plant, going up at the mine mouth where its fuel source is immediately available, is being built by a group of investor-owned utility companies, including the Baltimore Gas and Electric Company. The human thought and energy that produced the commerce, transportation, and industry laid the groundwork for a modern industrial complex. And a stable labor market is the keystone of Westminster, Laurel, Bel Air, Towson, all of Central Maryland, continue in the tradition of their predecessors as they meet the challenge of continuing growth, proud of its state capital, the oldest in the nation, still used for legislative purposes, and of Annapolis, the first peacetime capital of the United States. Called the Athens of America, Annapolis has been the home of the United States Naval Academy for more than 120 years. And its tributary waters provide a natural location for the schooling of America's future naval officers. From the time the colony was settled in 1634, the bay has provided an avocation as well as a vocation. Annual sailing classics attract yachtsmen from around the world. The working boats have their innings too, with the skipjack races, sponsored by the Windjammer Association. The traditional skipjacks have been the backbone of the fleet that brings the succulent Chesapeake Bay oysters and crabs to market. The oyster and the crab have made Maryland famous for its delicious seafood. And its many fine restaurants feature these delicacies, each with its own treasured recipes and devoted following. There are other restaurants featuring a variety of dishes, Italian, German, Chinese, food to satisfy the most discriminating gourmet. Progress has not only changed the suburban areas with their new shopping centers and industrial parks, but it is also changing the very face of Baltimore City. The new Charles Center is bringing about a revolutionary transformation of 22 acres in the heart of the city. A new civic center offers sports, entertainment, and an excellent headquarters for conventions. Major surgery. This is just the start of a greater renaissance. Although Baltimore is a modern city, she continues to hold graciously to sentiment. In a pleasant park or around a corner, there always lingers something of the old to preserve a touch of the past. The Flower Mart, an annual springtime event, is an example of a pleasant tradition that exists comfortably alongside the dynamic vitality of modern Maryland. The early settlers of Maryland established complete freedom of religion from the time they landed, and this heritage continues. The new developments that free men from long hours of labor permit a greater opportunity for this larger life of the spirit, as exemplified in Maryland's many fine churches and synagogues. Long distinguished for its cultural life, Baltimore's many attractions include the Maryland Art Institute and its famed Reinhardt School of Sculpture. It also supports a symphony orchestra and a number of theater groups. Marylanders take their sports as seriously as their arts and commerce. Baltimore is a big league town and proud of it. Each fall at every game, over 60,000 disciples fill the stands to overflowing and pour forth a full tide of eloquence for their beloved Colts. Still others impatiently wait for spring, for the voice of the Orioles to be heard in the land. Fondly recall that the babe, George Herman Root, the home run king, hailed from Baltimore. The new Civic Center is home for the Bullets and the Clippers as well. The Preakness, Triple Crown for 3-year-olds, along with the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont, brings Marylanders out in force, and why not? For Maryland is noted for horse breeding, and Pimlico's famed Jockey Club traces its origin to races in Annapolis in 1745. The port which provided Central Maryland with its initial impetus in developing a great commercial and industrial center has become a commercial giant, one of the great ports of the world. Ships bearing flags of all nations, some 6,000 a year, carry more than 25 million tons of cargo to and from the Atlantic seaboard's westernmost port. Boasting 92 general cargo piers, the port moves almost every cargo known to man, and commercial and industrial plants line the harbor. From sugar refineries to McCormick's, the largest spice and tea house in the world. The shipyards that turned out the famed Baltimore clippers now build the most modern vessels, repair the largest. The Ocean Jet, a specially equipped cargo ship launched at the Bethlehem Steel Corporation's Sparrows Point shipyard, will serve the North Atlantic ports and the Mediterranean. This speedy hydrofoil, as new as tomorrow, is being built by the Maryland Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company for use on Puget Sound in the Northwest. People of spirit, imagination, and energy have started a new excitement coursing through Maryland, a new spirit translated into metal, stone, and glass. Projected are even more fascinating plans for the harbor redevelopment and for a complete new Central Maryland city. Rapid advances in science and technology have transformed Central Maryland into one of the 4 principal centers for research and development in the entire nation. Maryland's great universities and colleges have graduate schools geared to research in engineering and the physical and life sciences. The University of Maryland Medical School, centered in Davidge Hall, contributes another first for the state. This is the first medical school building in America used continuously for that purpose, its first dental school. At the Johns Hopkins institutions, researchers probe into countless areas of science in physics and chemistry, astronomy, and aeronautics. Scientists at the Johns Hopkins Hospital perfected the famed Blue Baby operation. The Children's Medical and Surgical Center in the Hofberger Memorial Building contains 270 beds, and thousands of patients are treated each year. Every conceivable ailment of mankind falls under the study of the scientist. Heart disease, birth defects, mental retardation, cancer, in the endless search for new methods of treatment. Additionally, more than 500 development firms in this industrial heartland employ some 16,000 scientists and 21,000 engineers in the never-ending quest for tomorrow. This emphasis on science pays off in such areas as the Peach Bottom Nuclear Generating Plant, being developed as a joint venture of investor-owned utility companies, of which the Baltimore Gas and Electric Company is a member. Nuclear power developed in a reactor to turn electricity-making generators. University Hospital's Betatron, the largest and most powerful of its type, continues the peaceful use of the atom for cancer therapy. Today, ideas are on the march, not ideas confined to paper or locked within the minds of men. Ideas have broken out of their prisons and have become working plans. They are computerized, blueprinted, engineered, mocked up, built, and electrified. Now, the fabulous tools of mankind extend his horizons into the infinite. New worlds are on the verge of discovery, and men and women of Maryland are in the forefront of the teams of scientists and engineers probing into the new realms. The Martin Company is the prime contractor for the Gemini program, now moving our astronauts ever closer to the moon. Marylanders build, check, carrying America's astronauts far into space in the race to the moon and beyond. Far across the nation in the clear Pacific off the coast of California, the Deep Star prepares to explore the depths of the ocean. The Deep Star, a product of the Westinghouse Underseas Division, is designed, engineered, and manned by scientists and engineers from Central Maryland. The challenge of exploring uncharted regions, seeing things men have never seen in the depths of the ocean or far out among the stars, is accepted by these men of Central Maryland today in the same spirit in which those who came before faced the search for tomorrow.
A Japanese dive